So trauma is a thief. When you've been traumatized, it steals from you. And the first thing it steals from you is your ability to sleep. Now, it doesn't do that because your body's acting out inappropriately. Your flight, fight, or freeze mechanism, when you've been traumatized, goes on high alert. It stays on high alert. And when you're in flight, fight, or freeze, you produce chemistry that prevents sleep and then wakes you up every 90 to 100 minutes throughout the night. So you end up with sleep deprivation. And when you have sleep deprivation, that is the beginning of the end. If you don't resolve the trauma and you have sleep deprivation, everything else will come unraveled.
Yes. So oh my gosh, I didn't sleep for over 25 years, a full night's sleep. And when I would sleep, what I thought never a REM sleep, but always waking up with nightmares and night terrors, sweats, a lot of complex PTSD. The occurrence of my trauma was ongoing. So I was constantly heightened and on fight, flight, or freeze modes. When I came to Alan, we're going to get into this a little bit more, and he helped me with the trauma that I was experiencing at that time. That was stealing my sleep, was stealing my everyday capabilities of just coping with life. And we know when you're not sleeping, you can't be successful in the things you're doing. I was always overwhelmed very easily, always burnt out. And at the same time, I'm trying to help women who have gone through the things that I have gone through. So I wasn't able to regulate myself. So I was taking on all of their trauma on top of it. So when I came to Alan, I was a complete disaster. I was at a point of having a nervous breakdown.
And Katarina said to me, I haven't slept more than 4 hours a night for 25 years. Now, the formal definition of sleep deprivation is less than 5 hours sleep a night. So she'd been sleep deprived for 25 years. Right? And I remember the very session that you slept. When I work with people, I do 2-hour sessions. So I work with the trauma in the third 2-hour session. And we're getting ready for the fourth 2-hour session, which is normally a transition back into happy places. And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, oh my God. I go, what's going on, Katarina? She said, I went home. Yeah, you went home. Then what? I said, well, I fell asleep. I said, good. She said, no, I slept 12 hours. And 2 nights later, you slept 15 hours. Right? And then the healing starts. And if you want to read or listen to somebody who's really, really authoritative about the quality of sleep, Matthew Walker, in the book is Why We Sleep. Matthew Walker, he's got a whole section in there on trauma and what he calls overnight therapy. Overnight therapy is when you dream. Your dreams disconnect emotions from the content of your experience, so those memories can be stored stably. When you're traumatized, you get woken up when that process is happening. That memory never disconnects. And now most of us, I don't know about you guys, when I get woken up middle of the night, I'm not in a happy place. So I further exacerbate my flight, fight, or freeze. Now, Gabor Mate, who's a leading thinker on this, and Bessel van der Kolk will say that all mental and physical dis-ease are a result of unresolved trauma. So when you don't resolve trauma, you become mentally tormented. You can't think, you can't concentrate, you're hyper-aware, you're hyper-vigilant, you start getting agoraphobic, or you don't want to go out in public. Talk to us about that.
Oh, I think the mental stuff, well, I became an addict. That was my way to try to numb and avoid the trauma that I was feeling. Even when I started Rising Angels, I was still using and helping women, but I was not being upfront about that because I was ashamed. But I knew that I could help women because I didn't have that type of help. So I just want to be that voice for them. So the addiction started, the numbing started, and it did start long before that, but it continued. I was an angry person, especially when it came to men. I was very angry. I was aggressive. I just give an example. I would go to a bar just to beat men up. That's where and I could take a good punch. So, I would go toe to toe with men, and it just was the rage that I had inside of me from just being hurt most of my life by men. So, I have children who suffered. They witnessed what I had gone through, the abusive situations that I was in. My kids had witnessed it. So they had their own trauma. I wasn't a good mother. I was not physically abusive, but I was verbally abusive. I didn't have the emotional intelligence to raise children. I wasn't raised properly myself. My mother had her own trauma. right? My father was the one who was sexually abusing me. So it just continued and continued. So I was so unregulated in my life and just would grasp for anything to try to feel good, even if it was for a minute. That's how I lived life. Mm-hmm.
Two of the key indicators of healing from trauma: one, the ability to sleep.
Yes.
You sleep.
I sleep.
Two, the ability to tell the stories of past traumas without any inappropriate or unwarranted emotional triggering.
Yes.
You guys have been listening to her tell her story. You're witness that she can tell this stuff coolly, calmly, in detail, without any unwarranted emotions.
And I'm going to stop you there. Before I did work with Alan, I'm a public speaker. And so I would tell my story. I would share my story. I was re-traumatized. I was triggered. There was a point my hair was falling out. I couldn't sleep. It would take me 3 days after, sharing what I had gone through with the public for education, for whatever training it was, to just, not disassociate. I would continually disassociate when I was speaking. There was times I would get off the stage and I would ask, who was with me, did I say everything okay? Was I okay? I had no recollection of anything that had happened. I would just leave my body automatically. So yeah, I'm present. I'm absolutely present and I'm not triggered. Yeah.